Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde. Welcome to Dimensional Wellness 365, episode 8, where today I'm going to talk about my everyday liquids, nutraceuticals, supplements, food, spice consumption, when and why. And before I do this, I'm going to please again ask you to subscribe, click on the bell, share with those you love and respect. And they're out there. There's people like us that want to get better and want to feel better. And it is our duty to teach and it is our duty to learn. So please share with those that you know they're struggling with food and they're struggling with health and they're struggling with life and that kind of stuff. This kind of stuff helps them. Trust me on that. It helps them a lot. Mentally, physically, soul-wise, everything. So please share with those you love and respect. Let's get into this. So I've talked about this and people ask me all the time, what do you eat? What do you do in the day? What do you do in the 24 hours? What do you do when you get up? What do you do when you go to bed? This is exactly what I do every single day since June 3rd, 2019. And I'm going to get into this and I'm going to go as fast as I can so I don't make this a long video. Right? So June 3rd, 2019, every single morning when I wake up, when I get up, from morning, I don't drink black coffee. I don't do nothing. Right, the first thing in my body, right? I will go prepare this with my shower, before my shower, after my shower, whatever. Water with apple cider vinegar in it, approximately a teaspoon. I do free pour. Everything that I talk about is free pour. Eventually, in the beginning, I was measuring things. I don't want to measure, so it's free pour. I figured it out what my taste buds are. So apple cider vinegar and creatine. I follow the manufacturer's instruction on the creatine. Pink Himalayan salt, 4 or 5 grinds. I put that in there. The first 2 to 4 hours upon waking up. That's the first thing in my body, and that's what I drink all the time. After my first liter, I will sometimes mix it up with sparkling water, right? But the first thing in my body, the first 2 to 4 hours of my day is a water formulation, whether sparkling but flat, always room temperature water, okay? With that, and this is in order here. Number 2, my nutraceuticals with my water formulation or just water. So I will add this product, these powders that I'm talking about, I will either add it to a water formulation that's already in place, like I just mentioned, or just other sparkling water or flat water. I do this 15 to 30 minutes before any solids, right? So the 2 to 4 hours I told you about, if I get up at, I'm going to talk about the 16 hours. I never not done a 16 hours since June 3rd, 2019. So though that time frame is yours to figure out, but I usually have my meals, and I explained this here, between 12 and 3, I start eating solids, which I'll explain. But I do this supplement formulation 15 to 30 minutes before any solids. So I try to train during my fast before anything in my body except for the water formulation I talk about. And I always take my supplements either right before I started training or right after I train, because it's in the time frame that I throw this in, right? My training and that kind of stuff is in this time frame. So 15 to 30 minutes before any solids, during my water formulation, I add the nutraceuticals, which is capsules and powders, right? So, and I train with my father, just mentioned this. These are the capsules that I take, and this is the powder that I put inside my water formulation. The capsules that I take every single day since June 3rd, 2019, Ashwagandha, Beetroot, Berberine, Chlorella, Moringa, Magnesium, Spirulina, Turmeric, Curcumin, vitamin B12, C, D3, right? These are supplements. All this that I mentioned here are supplements to my lifestyle, are supplements to my nutrient dense, are supplement to what I do, right? So these are supplements to whole foods and my fasting lifestyle. That's what this is. It's innate. It's another tool in my toolbox since June 3rd, 2019. The powders, I talked about the exogenous ketones on previous podcasts, vitamin C and mind focus. There's products that I use. I don't want to be branding any product, but there's specific products that I use that I live my lifestyle on. And I've been doing this anecdotally, dating it for myself. Again, since June 3rd, 2019, there's products that came in. There's June 3rd, 2020 with other products came in. There's a certain lifestyle that I follow every single day with certain products. And this is what I talk about. But I do this way, right? This timeline I'm going through. Let's keep going. What is the meal that I have? People ask, what do you eat? So after I've done these supplements, right, within my water formulation, between 12 and 3 p.m. in the afternoon, it's raw or organic or as natural as possible. That's the type of food. All the food that I'm going to talk about, that's what this is, right? So black coffee. I make black coffee, approximately 20 ounces. I start making the brewer, and this is what I add to it. 35% cream, cacao, chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, quinoa seeds, powdered mushroom blends, ginger, turmeric, curcumin, coconut oil, protein powder, spirulina, cayenne pepper. I add all this inside this coffee and I blend it up. That's right, I call it my ogre coffee. That's my nickname. I mentioned this on the last time, so I call it my ogre coffee. And I've learned from other coffees now. I just perfected something based on research and data for myself that I enjoy. And this is all free pours that I talked about. I figured out it's like a bartender. You figure out your drinks. I figured out my drink, right? I consume that with raw organic, almonds, Brazil nuts, hazelnuts, macadamias, pecans, pine nuts, pumpkin seeds, and walnuts, based on research and data. That's why I take all this. I take my half an hour. I enjoy my time. I'm still working. I'm still taking calls. I'm still whatever. But if I want to, right, and just work in silence and just do my emails and enjoy eating the raw nuts and taking my coffee formulation, my yogurt coffee, I enjoy it. I make it kind of like old school, right? So that's between 12 and 3. And the only 2 meals a day that I have, my second one and my last one, within my 24-hour loops, is my meal number 2, right? My second meal, my last meal. I usually take that between 5:30 and 7 p.m., right? It's a full dinner with entree, with dessert, but they're all nutrient dense, right? I've talked about the fuel analogy. If I was to give you fuel, give it to you. Here, it's yours. I'll give you 1 million liters of regular unleaded fuel, top fuel that you can buy at the gas station, or I'm going to give you 1 million liters of the highest octane race car, NASCAR type fuel you can get on earth to put into your vehicle. Which one would you take? Same price, same everything. 1 million each. What would you take? You all take the highest octane in that. So why don't you do that to your own body, for your own mind? You do that for your pieces of equipment. Look at your best shops out there. Look at your equipment. You treat your equipment better than you do your own equipment, right? So that's what I mean by nutrient dense. I understand what nutrient dense means. I understand what empty calories means now. That's that junk you put into your body that doesn't give you nothing. That's empty calories, right? So nutrient dense, full dinner like I talked about. My entrees, cheese, olives, avocados, soups, thin meats, my meats, whether it's chicken or beef, whatever, thin layer, like charcuterie, like the old school way. Take my time, eat my meat, my wines that I'll talk about in a minute, my weekends, that kind of stuff. Those are my entrees. A dinner example of cruciferous veggies like your broccoli, your cauliflower, your leafy greens like your kales, like your spinach, your salmon, beef, lentils, asparagus, beet, potatoes, sweet potatoes. Yeah, I eat potatoes. People say, yeah, I eat potatoes. Sweet potatoes, dark peppers, tomatoes, wild rice, wild mushrooms, right? Spice it up, add some spice like garlics and that. People always ask me, like, a lot of the stuff I make, most of the stuff my wife makes. And she does not go by any book. She does not go by any recipe or any internet. She goes from here. She's amazing that way, right? She makes all these recipes. There's food that people tell me, oh, that wasn't good food. Their food, the way they made it, I didn't like that. I go, I love that because the way my wife prepares it. She spices it up. She does things. She adds ingredients that makes it so delicious, right? So all this food, so it makes it even more entertaining to yourself when you're enjoying your food. You love your food, right? Make it count. So the desserts, I have desserts every single day since June 3rd, 2019. I tell people I eat cacao, I eat chocolate every single day since June 3rd, 2019. Because data and research, I know why cacao is important, one of the top foods, nutrient dense in your body. A lot of these foods I'm mentioning here are some of the top foods on earth if you want to live the longest, if you want to eat, right? So dark fruits, the darker the better, the darker the pigment, the higher the antioxidant. That's data and research, I don't want to get into it, but anything you buy, the darker the pigmentation, the higher the antioxidants, the more nutritious that food is for you, right? So dark fruit, blueberries, blackberries, cranberries, I have that every day with or other kind of fruits, that kind of stuff. And when I have them frozen, I'll put them there, I add my sugar-free fat, like the good yogurts, the Greek-style yogurts with no sugars in it, very healthy fats. Put that in there, and then I top that off with cacao seeds. That's one of them, for example. I talked about cacao chips. Processed cacao bars or processed these type of different seeds bars. They're processed. There's good processed food out there, which I'm going to talk about here. It's the processed food, and then I'm going to explain to you other things in a moment, but there's some good ones. And one of them is your processed cacao bars, for example. Or apples, or canary melons, or oranges, fruits. Every day I have them, right? Within my calorie window. Calorie window number 1, this is what I have all the time. Calorie window number 2, that's where I have my fruits every single day, right? My fibers. There's not a deficiency in protein on this earth. In the civilized societies, I mentioned this on a previous podcast. There's deficiency in fiber. That's why you gotta eat your fibers every day, right? Make it count. That's what I do. I've never not had a 16-hour fast, and my average is 8 to 20 hours every single day. Liquids, no pop. I haven't had a pop way before June 3rd, 2019, because at least 6 months before I started researching, my mind started going way before that, in the world of cannabinoids and working with PTSD and that kind of stuff. My mind started working then a lot. And as I grew into this world, and then I looked at other variants on life, one of the things I started cutting a long time ago was pop, right? I don't do pop, I haven't done pop in years. Yes, I drink wine, zero residual sugar wines. Do I drink restaurant wines? Yes, I do, right? Do I drink wine at somebody's house? Yes, I do. Dry red? Absolutely. But what do I do? On average, what I consume most of the 99% of the time, it's my zero residual dry wines that I buy. Sparkling water all the time, every day. Coffee, green tea, black coffee all the time. I will have coffee with cream and that kind of stuff during my eating window at dinner, with my entrees, my desserts, that kind of stuff. Green teas all the time. It's very good to have this every day. So that's what I do every day. So let me break this down. When I mentioned a moment ago about the darker the better, the pigmentation, the process, etc. What I want to finish off with is whole food. I wrote this up today. I've actually been telling people the way I think, but some of these you'll have heard through life, and some of these come from me here. But whole foods, right? That's whole food. Think of it as health. When somebody says whole food, that's a whole apple, a real orange, a real melon, right? That's whole food. Everything's in there. The entourage effect is inside the molecules and that kind of stuff. I don't want to get into that, but that entourage effect is inside that whole food. So think of whole food as health, okay, healthy. Think of your processed food as buy your processed food when you buy processed as your flash frozen fruits, for example, flash frozen vegetables, flash frozen legumes. The ingredients are broccoli. That's it, right? There's no other ingredients. It's just broccoli. And I've talked to those individuals, the farm guys that picked in the manufacturer, and they tell me, yeah, they are basically picked and washed and diced it right away and put through the machine, and they're flash frozen, and bada boom, bada bing, within the hours, or it's flash frozen. So when you do consume it as a consumer, it's as if it was picked yesterday, but it's as if it was picked a moment ago. That's why I buy my frozen fruits, my blackberries, my cranberries, my blueberries, everything. That's why I do that. So think of processed that way, right? Highly processed, however, now you're entering into the calorie zone. The empty calorie zone. That's what you're going into. The nutrient dense versus, think of a Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi here, but your empty calories, that's what you're getting into. When you're getting into highly processed, it's empty calories, it's junk, it's not feeding you. It's just feeding your right? Ultra processed, and this is what I tell people, it's made for profit, not for health. Think of ultra processed for profit and not for health, right? So stick to your whole food, stick to your processed foods, and stay away from anything highly processed or ultra processed. That's just my view on things, right? There is some very good processed foods out there. I know some of these people that make very good processed food out there. So there's some very good healthy companies out there. So by finishing off here, eat more food with no labels, right? More food with no labels if at all possible, and stick to processed and above, to whole foods. And then sleep, right, and repeat. Make it count. Sleep and repeat. Jean-Guy Bourguignon, Dimensional Wellness 365, episode 8, asking you, just try it. Try parts of it. Trust me on that. If you're looking to lose weight, if you're looking to brighten your mind, if you're looking to have a better focus on life, this lifestyle, it's as old as time itself, but for some reason, for part of our history, it almost got removed, and it's coming back a lot in the last decades, right? It works. Jean-Guy Bourguignon, Dimensional Wellness 365.